And I will give you the host capabilities and you'll be all set.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're all set.
Yep, all set.
Have a good night.
Yep. I am beyond frustrated. I'm fighting back the 4-letter words. I am just so upset with the system. It's terrible. And but it is what it is right now. And I'm going to go up to town hall tomorrow and do some first-class griping, because I'm not getting any response out of town hall on our change of status for the historical commission. 3 weeks ago, I said, okay, what do we do next? Yeah, we'll get back to you. Well, every week I say, what do we do next? We'll get back to you. So it's just really frustrating dealing with those folks down there.
David, who has to make that determination to get back to you?
Well, it's a matter of, what's her name? The main secretary in the town manager's office. I'd have to go back and look at my email to see who it is. But she said she has to ask either Kim or Dutton and get an answer from them. So, I don't know. Just so ridiculous. Anyways, 357 Center Street. This is the one we looked at probably 6 months ago. Evidently, they've got another buyer who wants to tear it down and possibly go to the zoning board of appeals for variance to try to squeeze 2 lots out of it. House is in pretty tough shape. So anybody got any comments on it?
Nope.
Yeah.
And
Okay, well, there's no further discussion. Then we'll have, I'll call for a vote on whether to, see, how can I word this? Call for a vote to allow the owner to proceed with demolition of the structure.
I'll second.
Seconded, favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we'll let that go. All right.
Awesome.
Historical Commission business. Steve and I had worked on the, it's a small issue in the scope of things, but it was a big issue to me because I hate to see something historically changed just because somebody decided they wanted a different name. And I'm talking about the name of the Ironworks Park. Steve and I talked to the people from the state and we said, please make sure you change the plans, the name on the plans, because they were saying Stanley Works Park. It's not Stanley Works Park. And they were talking about Jenkins Pond. There's no Jenkins Pond. Well, there's no pond now anyways, because the river is down because they pulled the dam out. So anyways, I went down there the other day to see how things were going, and beautiful sign down there, Stanley Ironworks Park. Well, I was impressed by the sign, but I was very upset with the wording. So the next day when the project opened up, I went back down and saw the project foreman, and I said, okay, I know you didn't pick those words, and could you plug me into the system so I can start working my way up the food chain to find out who came up with those words? And he said, oh, that's easy. It was an Eagle Scout project. Oh, brother. You don't mess with God and Christmas and basketball hoops, tree houses, and Eagle Scout projects, because there's never anything good comes out of it. So I figured I got to do it. So I started making phone calls. I got a hold of the Scoutmaster, and he said, oh, we just copied the name that was on the little sign that was hanging up down there. I said, well, that sign was put up by the Taunton River Watershed Alliance. And God only knows where they came up with that name. And so I called Steve Black and he said, yeah, they came up with that name a long time ago. And I always meant to tell them to change it, but I never got around to it. So because scouts saw the wrong name, they used that and I ran with it. So I had a long conversation with the dad of the Eagle Scout, complimenting him up and down and sideways on the beautiful sign they put up, which the construction company isn't happy about because they put it up right in the middle of the project and they put a big fence around it. And they're supposed to have total control of the whole area. And they can't do that if the sign is now fenced in. So they're not happy about it. But anyways, they agreed to use the name that's in the National and State Register of Historic Places, Bridgewater Ironworks Park, and not Stanley Ironworks Park. So it's going to cost me $100 to get the letters changed, but at least I got them before they made the second sign. So it's going to be changed. And I've okayed the proof, and they're going to, I don't know what they're going to do with the construction company to make them happy. But anyways, the park will eventually have the sign changed. And if you have any interest, stop down there because it's, now the dam is gone and the river there's still water coming down the river on that side, but it's very limited. And most of the water is going over on the other side where the turbine was. That's quite a sight to see. But you still can access the site, park in the APC parking lot and walk across the street. So, let's see, what else is there? Well, Jeff isn't here to give us an update on the churches and how they're doing with the community preservation. Anything other of historic? I stopped by the library to see Jed to see if they had hired or if they were getting any closer to hiring a new archivist. And he said, well, you know, the new town, what do they call it? The person who's in charge, human resources person. He said they're moving awfully slow. Well, I'm told that the human resources person can't do anything unless Kim Williams has say over it. So I don't know what the story is. He doesn't know what the story is, but they're no closer than the day Allison left. The Civil War display is still up. And that's about it. And he's still hopeful. He says the money has been allocated in the budget before the money was coming out of COVID funds, but they do have money for the archivist. And so hopefully she will be replaced someday.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Vision for Reality. Have either of you heard of that project in the sky?
No.
Okay, well, if you're in the Academy building, there's a big board in the lobby, and it talks about this vision for reality. So this is a project that the new town planner is working on. They've already had 2 workshops, and what they're trying to do is rejuvenate the town center. And one of his key projects in that is to put in these things called traffic calming bump outs. And you may have seen these in other towns where they actually build out from the sidewalk about 10 feet every 30 feet or so, and it actually makes the roadway narrower. They get rid of diagonal parking and they go to parallel parking. So I requested a voice on that committee from the town planner. And he says, oh yeah, you can come to the meeting with the general public on September 13th. Great. I said, no, I want a seat on the committee. I want to, not only from the historical commission, but I'm also one of the trustees of Fellowship Lodge, who has 5 parking spaces out in front of the building. And we don't want to lose any parking spaces. So that's fallen on deaf ears. So you got a bunch of people working on rejuvenating the town center, and it doesn't sound like the taxpayers are going to have any say in it.
I don't understand how cutting off parking and jutting sidewalks out are gonna rejuvenate
Yeah.
the downtown. I mean, it's not bringing any more business there.
Nope.
No, it's gonna,
The business is hurting as it is because
Right.
they don't have
Parking.
enough parking.
Right,
And so it's very limited, the number of people you can get in your store at a time. And to reduce parking further, I don't know.
I mean,
Oh,
to parallel park, who's gonna parallel park there? I
right,
don't parallel park anywhere, but I would never do it
Yeah.
there.
yeah. So
It just-
it doesn't make sense to me. I saw they did it down in Wareham, and they've done it in Middleborough also, but what they have done is in Middleborough and in Wareham, they have a huge parking area behind all of the stores where people can go and park.
Right,
And they have access to the back of the stores also. I don't see that happening in Bridgewater. I tried to get that when I was building inspector. I tried to get the merchants to do it, and many of them were reluctant to take the responsibility of having people parking in behind their buildings and not having direct control over it, because the way they do it is the store gives an easement to the town for the
Mhm.
town to use that parking. In return, the town plows it. They maintain the parking lot somewhat, make it easier for people to visit the stores, but some of them wanted no part of it, so it didn't work. So I have no idea what this project, I've been trying to find something online to look at they've already had 2 meetings, and I've talked to people who've been to these meetings, and they say it's just a show and tell on what they want to do, and it doesn't seem to be any chance for public input, but so it's coming up in September, and I believe, well, I don't have my calendar with me right now, but I think I'm going to be away on vacation that week too. So,
well, David, for funding though, they can come up with all these ideas, but who approves the funding for this?
town council,
So
town
we should
manager,
only-
they put in for a grant,
Okay,
and then the council approves it. Right now, there's a planning grant. And some outfit somewhere is working with the town planner to come up with a grand scheme.
Hmm.
So another part of this is to move the MBTA station. As crazy as that sounds. With all the problems that the MBTA has right now, the thought of them spending a couple $1 million to move the station from the college property to the Spring Street lot just sounds bizarre.
yeah, I heard something about that and I was like, I can't believe they're gonna do that. The parking at the MBTA lot is where it is currently is it's perfect. I've never had a problem parking there, and
Yeah,
I rode the.
Spring Street's a mess. Why would you want to make it worse?
Why would you
Well,
move it?
the reason to move it to Spring Street is the state is putting pressure on towns to come up with new zoning within a half-mile radius of the T station. Middleborough just went through this with all the with the new T station that they're building
Yep.
down there. And Middleborough dug in their heels for a long time and said, no way in hell, we're just not going to do it. So the state got real nasty about it, and they said, well, if you don't do it, then we're going to cut off this funding and this funding and this funding and this funding. And they came up with a whole bunch of things that the Middleborough was going to lose. So Middleborough finally relented, and they agreed to change the zoning to allow more houses or more units to be built within that half-mile radius of the train station. So that would put a lot of housing on Spring Street, Hale Street,
Mhm.
probably Pearl Street and all those areas. But basically what you'd be looking at is tearing the old buildings down and putting in multifamily housing.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's the end result, but I don't see that happening. But this new town planner, who knows?
Just think of logistics. You know how long Spring Street is.
Yep.
Like at Crispy's there, it'd have to be all the way to the other where Mary Lou's is, because the train is as long as that. It's crazy.
Yep.
Mm.
You're blocking one street or another. And how
Yeah.
safe is that for train riders? I mean, you don't have
Yeah.
to be an engineer to figure this out.
Yeah, well, that's why they ended up at the college.
Right.
Because the engineers looked at it, and they looked at that site at the time, and they said, no, it just doesn't fit there.
Mhm.
They looked at the rejuvenating the old railroad station, but they didn't have enough parking there. They looked at the ironworks, and they said between Oak Street and the ironworks, there wasn't enough space there. So that's why they went with the college. So it wasn't like they just picked something out of the air. So,
Right.
um,
And, it's great access for students. I mean, you talk about investing in your future. If kids don't have cars and you want to promote transportation, why take that away from students?
yep.
I don't know. It's just counterproductive to me.
Sure is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, one thing to watch.
Well, we accomplished the main purpose of the meeting, and what I would like to do is have no more meetings until September, unless somebody comes up with another demolition delay project.
I would second that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay
So-
with that.
I also, in asking them for the procedure to change our status as a historical commission, I also asked for the procedure to change the demolition delay bylaw. Because right now, I can't set a meeting date until I call a public meeting to set a date. So it's just stupid. And the
Mm.
guy who came up with that wording was former town planner, whose previous experience, he was an Internal Revenue Service agent up in Vermont.
Oh, that's a match.
And now he's down south somewhere. So, yep.
Wow.
So anyways, those are the things pending. And as soon as I hear from the town as to what the procedure is in changing those two things and what the procedure is in getting this meeting foolishness straightened out. Used to be easy to do a Zoom meeting, but it's just not anymore. People changing dates and times and everything else.
I just can't believe we can't meet in person. anymore.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know.
town council meets in person, but you know,
Yeah, why isn't it a hybrid? But I mean, I read it clearly. We're not supposed to meet in person.
like
Yeah,
it just seems like they're, you know, yeah, this worked out okay for 2 years, and let's just keep at it, and you know, but everybody else is back, so.
But
Yeah.
that's not a state mandate, because I'm on the executive board of self-help and we still have a hybrid.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, are they violating some state mandate? Wouldn't be the first time.
It wouldn't surprise me if they were,
Mm.
but I'll see what I can do as far as getting this thing straightened out,
Okay,
so we can get together and I'd still like to meet personally, but Zoom is good if it works, but it just isn't working well. So,
well, that
What if-
lies with the town hall,
Hmm.
yeah,
not you.
yeah. And one other bit of serious thing, I heard the town is considering putting charging stations, electric charging stations in the library parking lot.
Oh,
So it means that more town vehicles will be charging in the library parking lot, taking up more spaces. So, I don't know. But I went into the town hall the other day, and there was an $80,000 electric car in one of the charging spaces that's usually used by the town manager. So I guess that's where you're using his raise. Tesla, it was it was a top end Tesla.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
charged up.
you know, I've seen that because I had to use the Dropbox for taxes or water bill or something. And I saw the public vehicle, but I also saw the Tesla.
Yeah,
So he must work there? Is it his?
yeah. And that's another project that I attended a couple of Access Commission meetings. And one meeting we had, Dutton was there, and they said, could you please move that box? And we gave them spots to move it to, so that people could drive right up to it and reach out their window and drop it in the box. And he said, nope, we're going to leave it right where it is. So we go to so many other towns, and it's so easy to access those boxes. So,
I don't know.
oh, well. So we got the historical business done, and don't forget to get a look at the dam, take a peek at it. I hear they're digging a lot of really nice bottles out of the river.
Oh,
Kids are down there, and you get the right bottles, and they can be worth $5,000 to $10,000. Get the right ones.
yeah.
So there's plenty of them there. So, any other comments?
Well,
Oh, I've had my say.
Okay, well, if anything pops up, over the next couple of weeks, I'm not going to call a meeting for August unless
Okay.
something comes up. So we'll get back together in September.
Sounds good, David. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
stay out of the heat, stay cool.
Stay
Yep.
cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Good night.
Okay, good night.